So guys, many Nigerians have reacted to this video of the former governor of Ekiti State coming out to say and speak on how they came up to gang up against the Jonathan's government just to remove him so that they can take over power. We all know that the removal of Jonathan from power has been linked to the increased Boko Haram activities in Nigeria, bandits activities in Nigeria, and all kinds of things. And now this video started circulating where this former governor was saying that they knew Jonathan was in the right path, but they had to come together, to cook up things just to make sure they remove him, that it is all politics. And many Nigerians have reacted to this. I'm going to be taking you through some of the reactions from Nigerians, considering the fact that this man is a PhD holder. And this tells you a lot as regards to the newly made statement by the Emir of Kano, who came out to say that educated people in politics, in power, are now behaving like illiterates. Now, I'm just going to take you through some of these reactions from Nigerians as regards to this. This person said, this is a PhD holder speaking in public. Greed and money makes useless many people's sense in this country. That is what this person said. And another person said, politicians will be politicians. If you expect them to do things for national growth, especially when they are in opposition, then maybe you don't understand them well. I blame Jonathan for folding. He blames Jonathan for, giving up. This other person said, this is a treasonable felony. Not only that they made Jonathan failed, APC brought Boko Haram and bandits to Nigeria. It can never be well with APC supporters. And this other person here said, the fact that he's saying it without any remorse is even more annoying. Politicians get away with evil because there are no consequences for their actions. The same people, ACN, APC members, deprived of quality and progressive lives because of politics, are celebrating them today. A whole lot of reactions. And this person said, this is confession of how Tinubu and his political gangsters worked against the interests of Nigerians while in opposition. And now in government, Tinubu is actively demonstrating that neither Nigeria nor Nigerians matter to him. The only thing that matters to him is himself and his cronies. So guys, a whole lot. Just take your time and watch this video. Then you listen to how the Emir of Kano has come out to say, see, Jonathan's government was better than what we are seeing under the Tinubu's government. He has also called out politicians for behaving like illiterates, even though they said they are educated. Take your time, watch these clips, just for you to know that politics in Nigeria is so dirty. Don't forget that there are headlines on the internet where they will tell you how we imported bandits to win election, how we imported, all kinds of people into Nigeria just to take over power. Take your time, watch this video for you to know that supporting APC is one of the biggest mistake Nigerians are making. Take a look.
We in ACN at the time in 2012, we know the truth, sir. But it is all politics. Even when what President Jonathan is doing, which 10 or so years after, all the political parties in this country agreed with. They even put it in their manifesto. Subsidy must be removed. Subsidy must be removed. Subsidy must be removed. We in ACN at the time we in ACN at the time in 2012, we know the truth, sir. But it is all politics.
Anybody who prefers to delude themselves can continue to delude themselves. But Tinubu knows, INEC knows, the judiciary knows, and so do a lot of Nigerians, that Tinubu did not win the presidency. He stole it. I said if he won the presidency, I'll leave Nigeria on exile. So let me clear that up. For him to have won, the people would have had to have voted for him. We didn't vote for him. He stole the presidency. Yakubu and INEC sold him the presidency. The presidency is not an expression of the people's will. It is an expression of the debauchery of INEC and the height of our judicial corruption. He did not win the presidency. If I had left, I would have been sanitizing and deodorizing a skunk. If nothing else, I rise and fall by my word. And when I said that I would live on exile if this man won, it was so that people will know that I do not believe Nigerians to be depraved enough to be possessed of the idiocy to vote somebody like him into power. And they did not. Anybody who prefers to delude themselves can continue to delude themselves, but Tinubu knows, INEC knows, the judiciary knows, and so do a lot of Nigerians, that Tinubu did not win the presidency. He stole it. So I'm not leaving because he did not win. It's that simple. That I'm still here is in rebuke of him. It actually cost me a lot more to stay here. It's not just the multiple level of danger that I face on a daily basis by remaining in Nigeria. Because if they will be planning my murder 3 years ago when they were not in power, one of his goons in Lagos State was the one sat at the head of the plot to kill me. They are the ones in power now. Ordinarily, I should run now. But I'm here. I am here because he did not win. He knows it. And every man and his dog in Lagos State knows it. He was beaten resoundingly in Lagos on the 25th of February. He couldn't even make 15% in Lagos. Segun Agbaje, the INEC commissioner in Lagos State, cannot produce the form EC8A for Lagos State up till today. I was the person who was charged by the Obi legal team to collect the election material from INEC. He could not, up until today, INEC in Lagos State cannot give us the form EC8A, which is the polling unit level result. Because they know he lost. He lost woefully. He was thoroughly rejected across the length and breadth of the state that he has held hostage. For 24 years, as at that time, he lost. So how much more? The other parts of Nigeria. Let them continue fooling themselves. He has snatched it, grabbed it, but he can't run with it. And that's why we are all in the mess that we are in today. So yeah, if he had won, if Nigerians had been foolish enough to have voted for him, I would have left. It wouldn't be because of him. It would be out of protest that I could be stuck with such evil people who would have found the grace to vote for somebody like him. But as I have said, they did not vote for him. They rejected him. He has forced himself on us. And we can't do much about that. But I'm not going to legitimize his stealing by leaving. He didn't win.
Your Highness, I remember in those days when you were the CBN governor, we know all the conversation that you had about this same issue, and the fact that what is required was the leadership to take the right action, and like Mr. Atadokita said just now, not just the one-day action, but the policies and processes that follow, making sure they are executed. In fact, I remember there was a specific time that you said you've done your best with monetary policy and that's your job as the CBN governor. The rest of it is left in the hands of those who were politicians. And I think that was part of the reason you said you got a query from the SGF. So you got a query at that point and it led to so many other things. But let me ask you, sir. Now, in terms of those in power in Nigeria listening, several Nigerians commended the position of the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, when he appointed both Mr. Wale Edun and Mr. Yemi Cardoso. They said these are some of the best brains and best minds. And yet, we're in a situation where people are crying. Is it that Nigerians, and I would refer to even the time of President Jonathan, some of the best brains, including the likes of Dr. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, including the likes of even my dear sister and friend here, Aruma Ote, were in government and working for government agencies. Is it that the people at the helm of leadership in Nigeria just consistently don't listen to advice and fail to do the right thing beyond the one single action that Mr. Atadokita described as 24-hour decision?
Thank you very much, Kaide. Well, first of all, let me say that it's extremely important for us to try to understand economics and how the economy works. And a failure to understand economics sometimes leads to misplaced expectations. There's a role for the central bank. There's a role for the Ministry of Finance. You've got monetary policy, you have fiscal policy, you have structural policies, you have institutional reforms. And yes, I was one of those who commended the appointment of Wale John and Yemi Cardoso. These are two gentlemen that I've known for many years, and I have never had any question about their competence. And if you try to assess them, you've got to ask, what were they supposed to achieve? Okay. Now, going back to the beginning, you talked about 2012. And you talk about the suffering from removal of subsidy. It's simple arithmetic. If you're paying 80 naira or 65 naira per liter, and you begin to pay 160 naira per liter, costs will go up. There will be hardship. And the duty of leaders is to understand that there will be a cost to removing subsidy. And I said in 2012, if you remember from the town hall meeting, to say that there will be hardship is not an economic argument. To say that there will be a cost to removing subsidy is not an economic argument. The economic argument is, this is the cost of removing the subsidy. What is the cost of not removing the subsidy? Are you making a choice? We were in a situation where we had a hedge that we called, it was not a subsidy, it was a hedge. You see, a subsidy by definition, the government says, I will pay X% of the price. That is a subsidy. I'll pay 20% of the price, whatever it is. Price goes up, you pay more, I pay more. Price goes down, you pay less, I pay less. What we had in this country is what in risk management you call a naked hedge, the worst possible derivative you can have. The government said to Nigerians, 200 million Nigerians, you will not pay more than X amount per liter on petrol, no matter what the price of petrol is. So all price goes up from $40 to $140, the federal government pays the difference. Exchange rate moves from 155 to 300, the government pays the difference. Interest rates move from 5% to 15%, the government pays it. Remember, the price of petrol and what the calculations include the costs of crude, the cost of refined product, the cost of transportation, even interest rates, demurrage. If you look at the template, all of those amounts were being absorbed. The federal government was saying, I have an unlimited pocket. So we moved from a point where we were using revenues to pay subsidy to where we had to borrow money to pay subsidy to where we had to borrow money to pay interest on the borrowed money. We had become bankrupt. Anyone who takes a naked hedge ends up being bankrupted, especially with a commodity where you don't control the price. So this was the point in 2012. Now, if Nigerians had allowed the Jonathan government to remove the subsidy in 2011, that would have been pain. But that pain would have been a very, very tiny fraction of what we are facing today. This is the cost of delay. At that time, we worked out the numbers in the central bank, and I stood up and put my credibility on the line and said, remove the subsidy today, inflation moves up from 11% to 13%. I will bring it down in a year. We will not have had 30-something% inflation. Okay? That was where we were. Now, people like my friend Hijack Fayemi here and his APC friends had Occupy Nigeria, came out on the streets, told us we could not do it. And I remember calling one of my friends. And this is, we should talk about these things because it's important. There's a kind of poetic justice. That it is actually the people who led the Occupy Nigeria movement who ended up seeing the problem, inheriting the problem, and having to do it. I remember calling one of my friends at that time and saying, look, one of my closest friends, said, you know that what we're doing is right. He said, yes, I know. I said, why? He said, well, I'm in opposition. My job is to make the government look bad. You know, you are the governor of central bank, you go and defend your government. Just politics. And you know, the only reason the government compromised at that time, maybe we should know this, the only reason the government compromised and did 50% or 100% was Boko Haram. because there were thousands of Nigerians on the streets in Lagos and Kano and Kaduna and all that. At the time when we had suicide bombers in the country. And there was a fear. If one day one of these suicide bombers goes to these Nigerians and explodes the bomb and you have 200 corpses, it will no longer be about subsidy. So you have to give President Jonathan the credit. He was determined to do it, but at the end of the day, the compromise was made, okay, to save Nigerian lives. Now, what has the central bank achieved? Central bank's role is to provide stability. The central bank does not deliver growth. It does not deliver employment. It provides an environment that is conducive to growth. Okay? Now, and the central bank has achieved it. You don't want inflation moving from 10% to 15% to 20% to 25%, because as I said a few weeks ago at NESG, Nigerians don't realize that we were on the brink of hyperinflation. Beyond a certain rate of inflation, it becomes runaway inflation. You can't control it. You'd buy rice in the morning. By the time you come at 12 noon, the price has changed. By 4 p.m., it has changed. This is what happened in Zimbabwe. It happened in Venezuela. It happened in Argentina. We were heading for Nigeria. We were printing money like there was no tomorrow. We're heading for Nigeria, we're heading in the direction of Zimbabwe under Mugabe, or Uganda under Idi Amin. So inflation has been reined in. The runaway devaluation has been stopped. Yes, we're at 1,400. Nobody wants an naira at 1,400. But it's better to know that it will be 1,400 for the next 6 months, 8 months, 10 years, than to think it's 1,400 today, 2,000 tomorrow, 2,500, which is really... So the central bank's job is not to give you a strong naira. The central bank's job is not to give you low prices. The central bank's job is to reduce the volatility in the price level. And so when you assess the central bank, you've got to say, what has it done? Have you reduced volatility inflation? Have you brought it down? We're going to bring it down to single digit. You're on your way. There's still a long way to go. Okay, I would like to see inflation come down to under 10%. It will take time. But in terms of stopping it from running away to us, exchange rate volatility has been reduced. Now, on the fiscal side, and we talk about tax reforms, those reforms, the Tax Act only takes off next year. So we must remember that before the tax reforms have kicked in, we have increased government revenues. We have brought down debt service ratios from 100 and something % to about 40%. Okay, so on the revenue side, you've got to give the finance ministry credit for what it's done. Now, is there more to do? Yes. And the way where the problem is what Atedo has mentioned, is the expenditure side.
Yes.
Okay? The quality of spending. And some of these things, we've got to be honest with ourselves. Look, why do we need 48 ministers? Why do we need dozens of vehicles when we're moving around in convoys or traveling all over the country?
So, Your Highness, that brings me to that question which I'm asking, which is, do we have an affliction that affects the hearing of our leaders and unable to listen to the good advice?
No, I mean...
If we have an affliction, we'll get a doctor to fix it.
Yes, so your question started with the finance minister and central bank governor, and we're saying that there are things that are beyond them when you're dealing with the economy. So I would go along with that and say you've got to look at overheads. You've got to look at things like your contract processing, procurement process, okay? There's still questions about inflated contracts. There are questions about transparency. There are questions, all this money is coming into the federal, and this at federal, state, and local level, there are serious questions about how the money that is being raised is being used. And the arithmetic is simple. If you stop paying subsidy, why are we still borrowing more? Because if you've filled a hole, we should have the revenue to fund expenditure. But we fill in one hole and dig in a bigger hole. So this government needs to look at institutions. It needs to look at the quality of spending. It needs to understand that if you keep making more money and keep blowing it away, you're going to undo what you have done. But apart from that, I think a lot of good has been done. okay? But we still have to look at what needs to.
Okay, I would ask this question, Your Royal Highness, one more time, and I hope I get a straight answer to it. Nigerian leaders, from as long as I can remember since I've been in this country, they seem to not be listening to wise counsel. Even the man that you said was President Jonathan at the time had the good counsel to say, no matter what happens with Boko Haram and the rest of them, this is wise counsel, not just from the then SLS governor of CBN, from a great mind like Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala. Everybody said this is the right thing. In fact, I remember you mentioned on Channels Television, where I was the GM then, that we're on the precipice, about to fall. You said it. So why will that president not take the right action? And then the one after, and now the one that is there now, knowing what the answers are from the experts, the likes of Wale and the likes of Yemi Cardoso and all the other brilliant minds that are working with him. Why are they not doing it?
Look, in fairness,
affliction or what? I asked the question one more time because we have to move on.
On this question, in fairness to Jonathan, he took the right decision. And look, I'm not a fan of Jonathan. He suspended me from my job, okay? So okay? But you have to commend him, okay? President Jonathan took the advice and agreed to remove subsidy. As a government, we all agreed to remove the subsidy, and we're determined to remove the subsidy. The only reason we stopped at 50%, like I said, was the threat to people's lives. Now, but to your question, why do Nigerian leaders not listen? What my experience, okay, with talking to many of the leaders is they listen to so many people and they decide that they're going to accept those that tell them what they want to hear. We have too many sycophants in government. Look, you need to say, when I got to, you sit in a meeting and the president is there and people are speaking and the first thing they say is, Mr. President, I would like to thank you for your leadership to this country. In fact, you know, God has blessed Nigeria by making us your leader. If you were not there, I don't know where we would be. By the time these people lay this foundation, it is their advice that the president takes. Okay? People like me who would say, Mr. President, there are some things that are wrong. When you leave, they say you are his enemy. Okay? So the problem is that when leaders allow themselves to be surrounded by praise singers and by sycophants, they never get good advice. So people like Atedo and myself are always enemies of state because people don't like hearing the bad news. There was nothing we didn't say to Buhari about printing money, about ways and means, about the exchange rate, about subsidy. But every time you spoke about the economy, it was seen as a personal attack against the president. And there are people around him who convinced him that this person is your enemy. That's why he's saying this. Okay. So we need to begin to ask as leaders, who do we surround ourselves with? And please, those who are ministers and those who speak to the president, it is not to your benefit to turn yourselves, you disgrace yourselves, you debase yourselves by turning yourselves into praise singers.
Okay. All right, thank you very much.
So guys, the APC is a lying political party. There's nothing they tell Nigerians that you want to believe. I mean, believe the APC at your own risk. Now the truth is beginning to unveil. Nigerians are beginning to see how the APC knew that Jonathan was doing well, but because they needed something to cook up to remove him, they had to fabricate. So guys, this is what we are saying. They had to fabricate all kinds of lies against Jonathan. Now let me take you through some of the reactions on the Twitter space as regards to this video of the former Ekiti State governor speaking. This person said it will be useful in 2026. This person said no many are defeated. No many are defeated. I don't know what this person means by that. And this other person said this Mugu is laughing, saying it's so loud. Person Papa proudly being stupid. Nigerians, our mumu not too much like this. This other person said, imagine This person said the most expensive joke in the world at the expense of the current insecurity, gross incompetence, Christian genocide, and destroyed economy. It is funny to you. It is not funny to concerned Nigerians, collective evil liars. Aristotle was right. Evil truly brought them together. Hey, evil truly brought them together. Can you imagine? Look at them. This person even added their photo. This person added the photo of the APC, that evil brought the APC together. Oh my God. And this person said the craziest part is Governor Fayemi was laughing seeing this. No remorse, no guilt conscience, nothing. May Ogun, hey, this person has brought a course on this, which is not what I'm going to read. Now, this other person said a few politicians brought millions out in the streets, protest for days just for selfish reasons. Now, years later, the same millions are suffering but cannot hit the street as they did then. Aren't that crazy? I mean, it is really, really crazy, So Fayemi is exposing how we cook up made up lies, cooked up facts just to remove the Jonathan's government. So guys, this video is really so revealing, and this person said this man is giggling like a retard as he jokes about they ruin the lives of millions of Nigerians because it's all politics. They are the people APC supporters imagine will somehow make their lives better, even though the data shows this is impossible. And this person said they worked with Obama and introduced Boko Haram to achieve a regime change. This person said, I stopped watching as soon as he started laughing like a he-goat that look snuff. And this person that took snuff. And this person said the fact that some lunatics were clapping for him instead of stoning him. This person said, I found it so frustrating when people say it's just politics. It's just politics, and the consequence of these actions have devastated lives of millions of Nigerians. And this other person here said, I feel so much irritated that he called him bastard, but I don't use those words, was shining his Igbo teeth, should receive this sudden threat of Fayemi, okay. Fayemi and co deserve sudden treatment publicly. Sudan treatment. I don't know what they mean by Sudan treatment. This person say, tell me another form of hatred towards a nation worse than this. Unbelievable. So people suffering and dying is just entertainment for these old men, for a certain tribe. Shaking my head. Internationally sabotaging your country's economy isn't politics. What he's confessing is a serious crime. I mean, some people are saying that this is really crime that he is confessing. This person says, so all of them in APC intentionally compromised on the country because of their personal gain. And some people still believe that they should not be put to firing squad because of this. Thousands of lives have been lost because of this singular decision. And this other person says it is all organized. What does this tell you about insurgents, insecurity that began during Jonathan's era too? That is still ravaging the whole nation. Why is this man laughing? What's funny exactly? What's funny about when he's laughing? Fayemi said this statement and he was laughing. This person say they lied to gullibles, which I knew from the beginning. In a well-doing country, he ought to be hanged by now. This person say this is confession of how Tinubu and his political gangster work against the interests of Nigerians while in opposition, and now in government. Tinubu is actively demonstrating that neither Nigeria nor Nigerians matter to him. The only thing that matter is himself and his cronies. You see it, and this person says some fools clap. Oh, God, what's a useless nation? He's even laughing. People died as people died. What? This man is the most useless man ever. His wife or her wife is a disgrace. His children will suffer, and now APC is in power. What the fuck is happening? This person say when you have a weak leader, that's what happens. Jonathan was weak and so selfish. He also used insecurity to cash out. Corruption under him was a massive one. And this person say the fact that he's saying it without any remorse is even more annoying. Politicians get away with evil because there is no dire consequence for their action. The same people, ACN, APC party members deprived of quality and progressive life because of politics are celebrating them today. It's a shame. It's really a shame. It's really, really a shame. Now, this other person say this is a treasonable felony. Not only that, they made Jonathan failed. APC brought Boko Haram bandits to Nigeria. It can never be well with APC supporters. That is what this person is saying. Remember, there's a video on the internet how they imported these terror boys and people. And this person say they are contradictions. If you say Jonathan was doing fine, but opposition disrupted his plan, same opposition are now in power, implementing Jonathan's policy. How is the government now wicked? Just analyze your thoughts. This person say politicians will be politicians if you expect them to do things for national growth, especially when they are in the opposition. Then maybe you don't understand them well. I blame Jonathan for folding. This person say he blames Jonathan. So guys, many people have been lambasting Fayemi or Fagbemi, what's the name again, the former Ekiti man, for coming out to say this, how they ganged up to remove Jonathan from power just to get into power. And this person, this idiot is laughing irrespective of the fact that their decision led to the break and calamitous future of the nation. Nigerian politicians are the worst human beings on earth, and the fool is laughing, playing with the lives of future of 2 million Nigerians for your own amusement. Nigerians, wake up. Nigerians, wake the fuck up. This person said, this is a PhD holder speaking in public. Greed and money make useless many people's senses in this country. You know, this is what this person is saying. So guys, there are a lot of reactions. This person said this will not change anything. The fool will still fall for lies and propaganda. They have heads but no brain. They have eyes but no sight. They have education but no enlightenment. They have bodies but no souls. They are open sepulchre, beautifully built outside, dead inside. You know, this ADC is currently doing the same thing because they know that President Tinubu is doing the right thing and he's leading the country on the path to progress and prosperity. Look, people are clapping for this. They derailed the lives of thousands and called it politics. So guys, these are the reactions coming from Nigerians after the former Ekiti governor came out to share with Nigerians how they ganged up to remove Jonathan from power. People are wondering, how could politicians be this wicked? Many people have been saying that efforts to remove Jonathan from power, it kind of heightened the activities of Boko Haram and bandits, because we've seen videos of people that came out to say how they imported terrorists just to ensure they removed Jonathan from power. And you can hear a former governor who is a PhD holder publicly saying it and even laughing. This is a kind of a confirmation of what Sanusi is saying, that enlightened people now behave like illiterates because of politics in Nigeria. Let me know your thoughts on all this in the comment section below. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on the bell notification.